Welcome, guys, to episode number 122 of the Followers of the Force podcast. One of your hosts, David, along with Meg.
Hey.
And Jason.
Hello.
And let me shut this Apple Watch up real quick. So we were going to do this last night, but wanted to have at least 3 people in here, and we do. So we're doing it tonight. And we've actually got a lot of Star Wars news to talk about, which is a nice change of pace because usually we're a week off when the stuff drops. So we're just going to dive right into it and start off with news that we got today, talking about next week's episode of The Gallery, focusing on the season finale of The Mandalorian, all about, probably one of the greatest moments in Star Wars, with Luke showing up with the green lightsaber and just completely wrecking shop for the last 10 minutes. So have you guys, I know Jason, you said you didn't see it yet, that new preview that came out?
No, I didn't. I saw the Eternals preview. Does that help?
It's for.
I mean, that's for the Marvel podcast, if we want to do that another day. But Meg, you did see it. What did you think?
I could listen to Dave Filoni talking about the significance of Star Wars in the world at large for 20,000 hours.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear that. Thank you, Meg.
It's not even just the fact that I won't go on a whole Dave Filoni thing, because I will go on it for a long time. But it's not even the fact that he knows all that he knows about Star Wars, is that he understands how important certain things in Star Wars are to certain people, because what he was talking about in the trailer was not just how the Luke Skywalker moment was going to impact us watching it, but what it meant to the people that were there in the room when it was happening. It didn't mean to make a Hamilton reference. It just happened. Don't worry about it. But I really wasn't excited for this. I'm looking forward to it, but I haven't even watched any of the other Disney Gallery things yet. I'm behind on everything. Mm-hmm. But I'm really looking forward to it. I just want to hear Dave Filoni talk about Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
If you haven't, I know you said you haven't caught up on it, Meg. I forget which episode of the first season of The Gallery. One of the things before we started this, when I was thinking, is I hope there's a lot of Dave Filoni pontificating about Star Wars, because him talking about and I'm completely serious about this. Him talking about the lightsaber fight in episode 1, which I just always thought was a really cool fight. Mm-hmm. But Dave, you remember that when he digs into it and explains what it's really about.
Yeah.
You just kind of get to the end of it. At the end of it, I was just sort of slack-jawed. I was like, "Oh my god, he's right."
Yeah, it's crazy.
If this is more of that, I'm so on board for it, because I think everybody knows this, but I think for some reason it's somehow it's forgotten. But if there was ever a real life Padawan to George Lucas, it's Dave Filoni. He learned he learned everything there is to know about Star Wars, and even sometimes I would even say about storytelling from Uncle George. So I think if I want to see behind the scenes footage, yes, of how they put it together and how they made Luke look like Luke and Mark Hamill on set and all that other stuff. I also, again, like Meg said, I would just be down for him talking about Star Wars for an hour. I'd be down for that too.
Yeah. And I really like that that's what they're doing, not just with Star Wars, but with Marvel too. After every show, they're coming out with this, long sort of chronicling of the making of the show that really dives into everything. And this one is extremely special because it's focusing on one episode. Mm-hmm. And, mainly probably the last few minutes, but I'm sure we'll get stuff about the episode as a whole, considering basically all the characters showed up in that last episode.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, again, if you guys watch that minute sort of sneak peek, nothing really new, just some new shots of Mark Hamill and Dave talking about just Star Wars in general. So that came out today. And what came yesterday was the news-filled day. So a day behind, but still, we're going to talk about it. And the next really cool thing that came out with a new fan favorite character, we have Crimson Reign, a new comic coming out.
Oh, yeah.
With Kira on the cover and also Palpatine and Darth Vader on the cover. So, again, a character that everybody wants to see and that we've gotten a little bit more about in the Star Wars Bounty Hunters comic, which I think threw everyone off because of where it took place. And kind of getting that confirmation that this character does, live on past the events that we know, at least in the original trilogy. So Jason, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this, and are you excited for it? Will you buy these comics?
I have to say I'm torn because I have been a big proponent of more Kira stories. I've been wanting more Kira stories. I was so excited when she showed up in the latest War of the Bounty Hunters comics, which is a dumb name, but I was super excited about her showing up in there. When I saw that, I was like, that's awesome. My only caveat is I just wish it was Emilia Clarke in live action, because that's what I kind of really want. Like, I'll take these stories because I do like the character, but I could also do 6 episodes of Crimson Reign on Disney Plus or whatever it is. So that's where I'm torn. As far as the stories of themselves and getting more Kira, yes, I'm very excited about that because I just really like the character, and her showing up again in that first War of the Bounty Hunters comic really got me excited. It was like, that's one thing everybody's been talking about ever since when the whole Make Solo 2 Happen thing was going around, and people were like, yeah, we want to see more adventures with Han Solo. They're like, well, we'd settle for Maul and Kira, and absolutely. So yeah, I am excited about the comic, but I just wish it was live action. My only disappointment so far.
Hey, what about you?
As I said, I'm behind on everything. This includes the comics. So I'm excited to catch up with War of the Bounty Hunters, or I guess finish it because it's going to be done by the time this comes out. But I'm really excited for this. I know that everyone wants her in a movie or a show. We've gotten her in a book. Just one? Yes. I had to think about that for a second. But comics are a really good place to give people more of the characters that they want. I mean, I know not everyone is into them, but it's just another way to tell a unique story. And I think it's the perfect medium for the kind of story they're trying to tell with her right now. It's also Charles Soule. So he did the 2017 Vader comic, which is people are still talking about it. It's one of the best out there, and a starting point for a lot of people, and myself included. So I'm really excited to see what he does with that, because he'll do a good job no matter what. But I mean, if you think about it, right now we're just getting a comic, but that doesn't mean that at some point down the road we'll get Kira in live action again. I mean, we could get her in Book of Boba Fett for all we know. If it's more than one season, we could get her somewhere down the road. I feel like we forget that Star Wars can jump around whenever it wants to. So we might think that this is the perfect time to get this story in a TV show, for example, right now, but we could get it 5 years from now and it would still be totally relevant and totally fine. I could see them doing that. If they see that her character is so successful in this comic, they could easily do a show. I mean, if they have a story, if they have more stories about Kira to tell, which they do, because then if they're going to make money doing it, they're going to do it. It. So
yeah, of course.
Well, that was my question to you guys. Do you think that all of these sort of fan online make Solo 2 happen. We just want Kira and Maul stories. Do you think that was loud enough that Lucasfilm or Marvel was just like, well, let's do a Kira comic and see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel like a little bit like putting her in the War of the Bounty Hunters was like a little test flare to see what people, and then to see the reaction, they were like, oh, okay, well then let's do more of this. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it might have been, but I think at least what I see from the publishing side is that they have more of a more foresight than maybe stuff we see on TV and movies. That I think probably when Solo came out, sure, the reaction probably had a lot to do with it. But I think they knew going in that this character was going to have a place going forward. They probably just didn't know how, and then figured, the character deserves both. It deserves a visual medium in some way that doesn't necessarily have to be on screen. So I think comics are the perfect way to do it. And I think you might see a lot of these characters show up in a comic, because you also had Ren from the Knights of Ren on that cover, on one of the variant covers as well. So I think a lot of these characters are going to be fleshed out. Whether or not they show up in the future, we have a lot of shows coming out soon that we don't necessarily know. Like Lando, when's that going to take place? Is that going to take place, during like just after the events of Solo? Is it going to take place before? Is it going to take place, when? Who knows? She could definitely show up in that show. She could show up. She could show up in Andor. To be honest, I mean, I don't see. It might be hard to fit her in that story, but I don't see why she wouldn't be in there. But yeah, I think they probably had an idea, but definitely the fan reaction just probably made it easier for them to just say, yeah, we'll do this for sure. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that's probably the way it happened. None of us were in the room, but
can we fan cast Helen Mirren as sequel trilogy era Kira?
I mean, sure.
Why not?
Why not? Why not?
She's British and still hot, so.
Oh man, she would be really good in a Star Wars movie, actually.
She would be. I'm actually surprised she hasn't been in one.
Yeah,
I'll tell you guys off a really embarrassing story that involves Helen Mirren and my father. So.
Oh jeez. Oh god. Okay. You're gonna deprive the people, Jason.
Well, no, it doesn't have any. Okay, so I'll just tell it really quick. It's more of an embarrassing thing. More of an embarrassing thing for me. So we went on this family trip with this, and we were staying with this other family, and all their kids were like older than me, and I was probably maybe 14, so they were all like 15, 16, 17, and they went to the video store and they rented Excalibur, the 1980 movie with Excalibur, and so they put it on. I don't know what got into my father, but he felt the need at that moment to like explain like sexuality to me in film, like in front of all these older kids.
You got the talk because of Helen Mirren.
It's just sort of like, he's just like, just so you know, there's going to be, probably going to be some sex and some, it just sort of going on to it. And I'm just sort of like, and part of me was like, is this for me or is this for them? Because if it's because either way, don't bother. Like,
yeah.
So anyway, it had to do with the scene at the beginning where Helen Mirren, Helen Mirren, I guess, is in that movie, and I think she's naked in the beginning. I don't know, but it's like it was in the middle of that scene that my father decided to have this talk in front of his like 15, 16.
Listen, he probably thought it was a good time as any. Just be like, listen, it's right here. Let's just get it over with now.
Just get it over with.
Man,
it's sort of like, oh god. So anyway, sometimes when I think of Helen Mirren, I think of my father trying to tell me that story, telling me to explain.
Well, that's a perfect segue into the next story. Not really, but
What could be? What could? By the way, if you could have segued that into the next story, I'd have just doffed my cap.
Well, listen, I'll do it right now. That probably is not the best vision to have, but a good vision to have is the trailer for Star Wars
You get
Visions.
a partial doff.
So we got the trailer, the official trailer for the upcoming mini series of shorts, and it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen Star Wars look like that. Obviously, we haven't gotten that animation style. Closest thing was the Clone Wars micro series in the early 2000s with that 2D animation, but this is like legit, anime. Like it is, and honestly, I think this is where Star Wars has the ability to do so many different things and push the boundaries in terms of what the animation department can do and the kinds of stories you can tell with that, just that kind of storytelling. From the insane lightsabers and what they could do that we saw, I mean, that was nuts.
The best shot is the guy standing there and he flips the switch. And this wheel with like 10 lightsabers that starts spinning and deflecting like laser fire back. I was like, that's amazing. Why have I never seen that before?
And the cast, like this is an A-list cast.
Oh yeah,
for this series, and I was honestly surprised at some of the names that were on there, including, and I don't think we've ever had, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever had a Star Trek actor cross over into Star Wars, because George Takei is one of the voices in this series, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. If we have, it's been somebody from like one of the like.
Yeah, well, I guess Simon Pegg in the new Star Trek movies.
Yeah, I guess Simon Pegg, but he doesn't. Yeah, Simon Pegg probably the only one.
Right. Well, whatever. So, what did you guys think about it? Like, were you excited for this to begin with, or were you kind of and this made you more excited, or are you still kind of the same? Feel the same about it?
I was looking forward to it because it's at the very least it was something between the Bad Batch and the Book of Boba Fett or whatever else we might be getting to kind of like hold us over. Even though it's not that long, it's fine. But then I watched the trailer and I sat there for a minute and I was like, first of all, I'm exhausted in the best way possible after watching all of that happen in front of me. But also, this is so much different than anything we've ever gotten. And kind of like you said, Star Wars is able to tell so many different kinds of stories in so many different ways. That's something I've always loved about it. And now we have this. And like what, like the thought I had yesterday when I was out here being excited about this is that like they're doing 9 of these shorts and that's it. But who's to say they can't do more of these later? Like if this is successful, if people love this as much as I'm assuming they're going to, because yesterday Twitter was on fire in a good way for once. They could do more of these. Like they could keep putting these out, every year or whatever. And that's amazing because that's just giving different storytellers and different types of stories in different mediums the chance to have more people see them and more people get excited.
Now, do you guys think that depending on how the fan reaction is once this is already out and everyone has seen it, do you think that they might go this direction with a new Star Wars animated series? Like just lean into the anime feel of it and the animation style and go like for a 10, 12, 16 episode season with this kind of storytelling?
I don't know, and I say this mostly from just as kind of a practical thing. I don't know. This is like super heady and super businessy, but I like cost benefit analysis. I would imagine it costs a lot of money to do the kind of animation that you would put into one of these anime shorts, as opposed to. And again, I'm sure they spend a ton of money, but I somehow would, I would imagine the animation that we've gotten so far with Bad Batch and Clone Wars, and even Resistance, is nowhere near as expensive as these shorts. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. But by the way, if I am, if it costs $1.50 to do an animated thing, I'll eat my words, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
And I just think that the manpower and everything that it involved in. I mean, I would love to see it. My hesitancy and leaning towards no has far less to do with not wanting to see an anime Star Wars show. It just has more to do with, I think it probably would cost more to do 22 minutes of anime for 16 episodes than it would, say, 16 episodes of Bad Batch. Just, and again, I could be wrong. I don't work the books at Lucasfilm, but that would just be I think where I would be hesitant about it. That said, if money is not a thing, yeah, I'd love to see it animated, in the style of one of these. I think it'd be great. But yeah, that's my. I think I've bummed everybody out enough.
Meg, what do you think? Do you agree with Jason, or do you think it's more of a possibility that it'll happen?
I don't know. I didn't think in terms of actually doing a show in this style, though that would be amazing because again, I like Star Wars when it's doing a lot of different things at the same time, right? Like if you have a movie in development and a bunch of comics, but also this kind of show and this kind of show. I mean, we have how many live action and animated shows in progress right now? To have something different like that, Star Wars is for everyone. There is something for everyone. And there could be people who this anime is their thing. And to have Star Wars told in that medium, that's I'm so excited for them. And to get into it because I've never really been into anime that much, to the extent of some people that I know. And I'm excited to have that, but Star Wars. So something I'm less familiar with, and then this, which is my life, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But also, everyone keeps forgetting this. Don't forget this. There's also a novel coming out based on one of these shorts.
Yes.
In November. Oh God, why can't I remember the date?
I have it pre-ordered. Every time I go into my Amazon list, I see it, and I don't remember the date.
Yeah. So don't forget that. I think it's the first one, the first short. There's a book. It's gonna be good.
I want to say it's called Ronin or something.
Yeah. Yep. Ronin.
Which I know a little bit about the term, which is it's a Ronin is a samurai without a lord to serve.
Yep.
So
that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So another thing that's coming out. Well, we don't know exactly when it's coming out, but apparently it's going to start filming soon. According to Carl Weathers, is The Mandalorian season 3. At a con appearance, he said that filming will start next month. So I think based off of that, and based off of these other shows that have been filming for a little bit and might be wrapping soon, do you guys think it's a stretch to say that season 3 could be coming out maybe next December?
Oh, that's a super safe bet. Yeah, I would say that's
right?
Yeah. That was my thought.
Yeah, I mean, if
it seems like it would make sense.
If they're not going to shoot till September, let's say it takes even if they shoot till middle of December, that would make perfect sense because it was about a year or what they finished second season of Mandalorian, I think, right before COVID hit, and then the second season came out in October. So I don't see any reason why they wouldn't follow that sort of same pattern.
Yeah,
Mandalorian season 3 towards the end of 2022.
Yeah,
it's a long way away. Is all I was going to say.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is that we'll have Book of Boba Fett hopefully to take up most of December.
Yeah.
And I imagine Andor and Obi-Wan will hit.
And Bad Batch.
Somewhere.
If
And Bad
they're...
Batch. So we got 3 shows to kind of tide us over.
Right.
Until then. So
yeah. The only reason I really asked that was because I read today that Loki, season 2 of Loki won't be released until maybe the end of 2023 or early 2024.
Whoa, what?
Because they are not going to start production on it for a bit because they're looking for a new director to helm. It's not going to be the same director.
Gotcha.
So
well, yeah,
I don't think
right.
They don't have that problem because it's not one person. They have basically a team, and it's always going to have Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau attached. So they don't have that issue, but it's still almost 3 years for a 6-episode season 1, unless they're increasing the amount of episodes, or if it's just about that, like they just need somebody to come in and write and direct. So I don't know.
I don't know a lot about the whole Loki series, but like we said, Mandalorian that's already got like a system in. You just have to plug in dates and people. I think that's so I'm not super concerned about Mandalorian season 3. I would be surprised if it didn't come out next year, into next year. If it doesn't come out next year, I think it's only because they're going to push it to the beginning of 2023. But that would be the only thing I would see. Not, I can't imagine we go. It would be because especially if they're shooting it, and again, like they have their Carl Weathers said in an interview he's directing one. I'm sure Bryce Dallas Howard will come back, so Filoni will probably do one. Favreau will probably do one. So that's half your episodes right there.
Right. Yeah.
So.
I think that's one of the shows that is a pretty safe bet that we'll see it next year. It'll just be whether or not they release it in the same October time slot, or maybe they'll do it a little later. That'll be really the only question.
I have a feeling it'll depend on when, because I don't think they would have a problem with Bad Batch running at the same time as say Obi-Wan or Andor. But I think they probably are going to want to space out Andor and Obi-Wan and Mandalorian season 3. I think just so they're not all running at once, and whatever big ticket Marvel shows we're going to get next year, because Disney's not going to want to compete against itself. So.
Yeah, and now another Disney Plus show that is on the opposite end. They seem to be finishing up filming is Kenobi, as actors are wrapping on set. Kenobi. This one is probably, and I know we've talked about this a lot, but definitely one of the shows that probably the majority of the fan base is extremely excited for. Because one, never thought we would see Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan again. Never thought we would get these stories, let alone in live action. And never thought, I think this is probably the possibility that was maybe way at the bottom of the list, Hayden Christensen is coming back. And he's also making an appearance at New York Comic Con later this year.
Oh.
So, yeah. So, what do you, if you had to guess, when do you think we'll see this show premiere?
Go Meg.
May the 4th.
Yeah.
I'm convinced it makes sense. I mean, why not?
I'll say May 5th.
What?
Revenge of the 5th.
Oh.
Revenge of the Sith being the last time we saw
there you go. I mean, that would actually be quite creative.
That would be creative.
I don't know what days of the week these days are, but I mean,
whichever one's on a Wednesday.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. I mean, they could do what they did with the Bad Batch, do one episode in the middle of the week and then another on Friday. I don't know. I like if actors are wrapping up filming, they obviously have more work to do. I don't know how long that normally takes. But at least that means that we're gonna start maybe finding out some more details, because like I don't want to know the story. I don't want like to go in knowing too much. But like we don't really know that much, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to know more. But yeah, I would assume sometime like towards the middle of the year, probably. Yeah, whatever order they decide they want to release these things in. I don't know. There's a lot.
Yeah. I think 2022 might be the most Star Wars filled year we've had.
Without a movie.
Without a movie, right? And then the movie
Yeah.
comes out the following year.
Yeah.
So I would love it if it premiered in May. I would love it if we got a trailer. Just the teaser. All I really need is, honestly, I would even be fine with a poster. I don't really need to see anything. I've trained myself now after the last
simple needs.
Yeah, because listen, I have been waiting for a Spider-Man trailer for at least 3 months, and it's still not here. Meanwhile, we've gotten all the trailers for the Eternals. So I'm like, listen, I'm already convinced that they're just not going to show anything. So I'm already in that mindset with Kenobi, just preparing myself. Just give me a poster. Give me, just Ewan McGregor and the Jedi robes on Tatooine, and I'll be fine.
Right.
Honestly, that's all everyone needs.
My prediction is I think that Kenobi is going to be, if it's good, is going to be huge, because ObiWan Kenobi is not just that it's Ewan McGregor playing ObiWan Kenobi again. Ewan McGregor is the one thing that is universally loved about the prequels, even for the old school fans that turn their nose up at the prequels. Plus, I mean, Obi-Wan goes all the way back to A New Hope. So, like, the people who swore off Star Wars movies after The Empire Strikes Back, some of them hate Return of the Jedi. So, So for those people, they were going to be they even know who Obi-Wan is. Obi-Wan Kenobi is like just such a pop culture. I mean, he's like Vader or Yoda or something. He's like just such a pop culture name that I think people are going to tune into Kenobi more so than I right now. I think people are expecting. I think it's going to be a lot bigger, because I mean, help me with Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. It's like it's a huge pop culture line. So I think people are going to, when they hear Obi-Wan Kenobi, they're going to perk up. Then they're going to see it's Ewan McGregor, and they're going to perk up a little bit more. And like I said, if the show's good, which there's no reason to think it shouldn't be, I think it's going to be huge. So knowing that, I think they're going to want to put it in the most. I don't know what's the best day of the year, month of the year to release something on streaming, but whatever it is, they're going to want to plug it into that. So
yeah, I'm just ready for them to do the thing they've been doing for the last 6 years, is to release a trailer with Monday Night Football. Apparently that's the thing to do.
Apparently,
wait for the crappy matchup on a Monday. That's like the Jaguars and the freaking Browns, which I know the Browns aren't that bad.
I want to see the market research of the Venn diagram of Star Wars fans and Monday Night Football fans. I want to see how big that
like, listen, is. If they wanted to get a huge crowd to see the trailer, just put it attached to a Dolphins game. I mean, the country is always watching the Dolphins because they're the best team.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. We are awful. But yeah, so Kenobi, hopefully we'll get something soon. We've got Destination D23 November 19th to the 21st. They're going to be showing some Disney Plus stuff there. So maybe we'll get something along with Andor, along with Bad Batch Season 2, which maybe for that it's a little too soon. But we will see. Moving on, though, to the movie side. Taika Waititi has finished his story for his Star Wars film. Says it feels very me, which is extremely exciting because, I mean, the episode of The Mandalorian that he directed has probably one of the funniest in-universe jokes with the stormtroopers or with the biker scouts trying to shoot the can, and they just miss every time. And then we got Jason Sudeikis punching Baby Yoda in the face. So,
by the way, it is the voice of Jason Sudeikis, because Jason Sudeikis was very adamant about in interviews. I think promoting Ted Lasso. He's like, I just did the voice. I was not on set punching Baby Yoda.
Okay, he just did the voice. That's fine. That's fine. I forgive him now. So how do you guys feel about Taika Waititi directing a Star Wars movie? Because I know a lot of people had mixed well, not a lot. That's wrong to say, but some people had mixed reactions to the way he handled Thor. Maybe too jokey, maybe too like out of the norm. Which honestly, that's how I felt when I first saw it. But then I watched it a couple more times and I was like, wait, I understand what he's doing. And it kind of makes sense the more that character is around, you know, the Avengers and other people, that will kind of rub off on him a little bit. So yeah, how do you guys feel about him directing a Star Wars movie? Are you excited for his movie? And any other things?
I mean, remember what I said about more stories, more storytellers? I, of course I forgot exactly what I said. Great. But he is such a unique storyteller. Like, and I say that in the best way possible. I love everything that I've seen that he's done, and I have not seen enough of it. We know nothing about this. I mean, neither does he, because he hasn't even finished writing it yet. It's fine.
Right.
I want to know, like, seeing the way he looks at Star Wars and like how into it he is, that combined with like the way he tells stories, this might be my favorite Star Wars thing. And I never thought I would say that about anything like this. But I am really looking forward to it. I mean, that Thor movie is possibly my favorite MCU movie, and made me care about Thor in a way that I never had before. His style is I'm into it, so I am very, very excited. I don't know when it's happening. It's probably pretty far out, but give it to me. Yeah.
Jason, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to look at Taika Waititi's other movies and go, no, he shouldn't do Star Wars. Like, it's really hard to say that, especially because, I mean, Ragnarok is, aside from the Guardians of the Galaxy, is probably as close as. I mean, it's like Star Wars. I mean, it could be a Star Wars movie if it didn't have Hulks and as Guardians in it. So yeah, no, I'm super excited. I mean, I think about something like every time I think about how jokey and even if you did think that Ragnarok is a little too silly or whatever, and I don't, you just look at something like Jojo Rabbit, which has so much heart, but is still very uniquely. It feels very much like a Taika Waititi movie, but that movie is really good, and it's funny where it needs to be. It's heartfelt where it needs to be. It's sad where it needs to be. It's it's heartbreaking. If you've seen Jojo Rabbit, you think I think you know what I'm talking about. It's heartbreaking where it needs to be. So I can't imagine that they would give him the keys to the Star Wars sports car and he just goes, all right, well, I'm going to just go paint it multicolored around a tree. I think he's going to want to do, he's going to want to do something really good with it. I did like his quote. He said, I think he said as far as he'd gotten in the script was that he has exterior space. I think that's all he's got so far.
If he doesn't title it the movie that, I'm going to be really upset.
Yeah, Star Wars exterior space.
Yeah. So, I'm super excited. I mean, I'll get more excited when I see, a still, or we find out who's being cast in it, or or whatever. I'll be more excited then. But yeah, right now the idea of Taika Waititi doing a Star Wars movie, and the fact that we're now 2 years in and he's still attached to a Star Wars movie is a good thing. So it's like I said, it's hard to look at his work and go, ugh, not him.
Right. Yeah, it's for sure going to be interesting, and I think I want to see how his humor plays into it for sure, because his humor is so unique. And if you've watched any of his movies, and if you've watched stuff like Wellington Paranormal, which I've talked about a lot recently, I want to see how that fits in to Star Wars, because we got a little bit with that episode of The Mandalorian, but giving him 2.5 hours to just do what he wants to do, I think you can come away with a lot of memorable moments.
Yes.
His humor is it's silly, but it's juxtaposed with this a lot of very serious things. At least something like Jojo Rabbit. I wouldn't say so much What We Do in Shadows, but something like Jojo Rabbit. There's a lot of silly things in that movie, and a lot of the Stephen Merchant character comes to mind. But even that character is also menacing and scary. Mm-hmm. So, it's the juxtaposition of the humor with other stuff.
Right.
Is what we're going to get. So.
Yeah. Alrighty, and the last story on the video game side is that Star Wars Hunters Switch game, apparently it's been delayed, and I forgot where I read it, but apparently it's being delayed not for any issue that it has, but that they want to focus more on the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order. And I completely forgot that a sequel is happening. Because if you guys have played that game, it definitely lends itself to a sequel. You have a great cast of characters, you have a great time period to play in, and I was honestly, I don't know if surprised is the right word, but I wasn't expecting that the character of Cal Kestis to really be as liked by such a huge part of the fandom as he eventually was. And I don't know, I really don't know why I thought that, but I don't know, it's just wasn't expecting it. So do you guys really care about this game? Because I mean, it seems like it's not like a story-driven game or anything. It's more like an arena game, I think. So I mean, do you care? Do you not care? Am I being insensitive? I don't know.
I care to a point. The only thing I was going to say is that a long time ago, there used to be a company called LucasArts, and they used to put out video games like about every 3 days. It seemed like they were coming out with a video game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And since they sold to Disney, and Disney was like, you know what? Let's outsource this video game stuff. We've gotten like 4 video games in the entire. Yeah. I mean, we've gotten more, but not many more than 4.
Yeah.
So I'm just sort of like, so every time I hear something's been delayed, I mean, I'm happy there's going to be a Jedi Fallen Order 2. If I can ever I have it. If I can ever get past this one spot that I keep dying, I'll be super excited and to play the rest of it. But again, I just go back to, it used to be this thing called LucasArts Games or Lucas Games, and
LucasArts,
LucasArts. They do Knights of the Old Republic, then they do a Rogue Squadron game, and then they do like a Nintendo version of like Empire Strikes Back, and and then it was Thursday, and then they had another game that was coming out. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah. Again, I mean, I remember playing, one thing that, and I don't think it's just Lucasfilm, I think it's a lot of video game companies. We don't see a lot of video games based on movies anymore. Mm-hmm. Like we don't get. I remember the Revenge of the Sith video game for the Xbox, which I loved. I loved that game. But like we don't get, Star Wars: The Last Jedi, the video game. We don't get Star Wars, the Clone Wars, the video game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lego.
Lego's the only thing.
Awakens was the last game based on a movie that I can think of.
Yeah. And I don't understand the reason for it, because like the Lord of the Rings video games for the PS2 were amazing. I remember they did the same for the Spider-Man trilogy.
I think it has to do with. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think they. I think they were poor. I think what was happening, if memory serves, I think the video game companies were pouring a lot of money into these video games based on movies, and then the movies would tank, and then the video games would tank. So yeah, the Revenge of the Sith one I'm sure did well, but you know I'm trying to think of a big huge flop that they had a video game for. Only that comes to mind is Speed Racer, but I don't even think they had a video game for that. Do you know what I mean? Like there would be like I mean, they would sell this IP to these video game companies. They would pour all of this time and money into these games. Some of them were actually were really cool games, but the movies. Yeah. I think Superman Returns, I think, was sort of the beginning of the end of that sort of stuff. It's just sort of like.
Jeez, I don't even remember that.
But there was like a big Superman Returns game, and either it was about to come out or it never came out because the movie didn't do very well. So it was like, why are we pouring all this money into that? So now they're just sort of. I mean,
it's more so original stories surrounding an IP.
Yeah,
that's basically what they're doing now. Like with the Shadow of Mordor games and which are amazing too. But yeah, I just unless I'm the type of person that I don't like the first Battlefront game, like the 2015 Battlefront, because it's just multiplayer. There's no story. I like Battlefront 2. I like Jedi Fallen Order. I like a story-driven game because it gets you invested. And I might be the only, like one of the few people that like the Call of Duty campaigns more than the online multiplayer. Just because I like the stories, and also just because I absolutely suck at multiplayer. So there's that. But do you guys have any other stories you want to talk about, or are you guys ready to wrap it up?
I'm good. I didn't even know there was some of these. The ones we ended up talking about, I was like, oh, I forgot all about that.
Yeah. No, it was a pretty good news week.
Yeah, pretty good week to have to do the news. So
yeah.
Good on us.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching and listening to our opinions on all the news that dropped this week. Hopefully, the next time we do this episode or this show, which will be in a couple weeks, we'll get some more stuff. So we shall see. But until next time, guys, make sure to follow us on Twitter and check out our Patreon. You just got to pledge $1. You'll get episodes early. TeePublic, get our shirts, which unfortunately some of our designs have been taken down because of copyright issues with our good old friends over at Disney. I don't know, but hey, I have the ones that they took down. I have, so I think I won this battle.
Well, there you
go. You make me think we aren't shills.
Yeah, I know. And we've got new episodes coming out every Monday and Saturday night happy hour at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And if you guys want to watch our Friday night recordings of Words Between Worlds live, you got to become a patron for that. But again, just pledge $1 and you'll be all set. So until next time, guys, may the force be with you always.
Oi.